Yeah.
chop
So
wood and carry water before, before I became a practitioner or before I became a minister. I was doing the inner work. And I was shocked
absolutely.
to recognize that after I became a minister, I still have to chop wood and carry the
Yeah.
water. There is no place of arrival. We still work with our inner challenges in maybe in new ways, in fun and creative ways, as the mind creates new stuff within our ministries that we get to continue doing the inner work. And I think that's absolutely the foundational piece. And I love doing that work. I think that's why I loved men's work. That's why I loved New Thought. It was all about doing that inner work and becoming the person, looking at the wounds and blessing them and healing them and doing all of the stuff that I could do, not only because I wanted to, the material success. That's I think that's the initial draw to some extent, or can be for New Thought. But there was also the spiritual seeking, like who am I? Who am I and what am I doing here? What am I here for? Those ancient, the ancient questions. Who am I? What am I here for? That are so powerful that for me it was like you know my story. I was raised Catholic, and so when I left that, I went Hinduism and Buddhism and Native American practices and just all kinds of mysticism and all kinds of stuff because it was like, no, this isn't where, or I like this. I'm more of a eclectic person, I guess, spiritually. Oh, I like it. I'll take this
Hmm.
one. This is a beautiful ritual. I'll include this. I love this philosophy. And so when I found Science of Mind, it was just a game changer.
Yeah.
It had everything. It had the personal growth. It had the illumination. It had the mystic. It had the metaphysics. It had the truth in the real world, practical applications, as well as these mystical and amazing experiences of the greater than myself, for me anyhow.
Exactly right, man. And you learn so much from people who have different backgrounds and things. And, like, well, to use just one example out of countless ones, all of the Rumi and Hafiz and Ibn al-Attar, all of the Sufi wisdom, the poetry and stuff, coming to the West, coming through Islam, and all of that. Speaking of the beloved and the rich, vivid imagery, whereas Eurocentric model of communication can sometimes be kind of dry and up in the head and technical and Socratic, not as a bad thing, but it is kind of bloodless once in a while, and this evocative wisdom, and I learned about that from people who brought it to me. Um, Over the years, they say, "Have you seen this?" And I had, and then then I'm ordering books and all of this. But at first, it's somebody who's from that tradition, and they're not afraid of it, and they knew I wouldn't be afraid of it. And that's a wonderful thing about Science of Mind. It just says you're not gonna. I was reading Aleister Crowley recently. Aleister Crowley has a terrible reputation in the world at large as being this demonic, awful person. Well, he was a really interesting cat. I mean, he had all kinds of different things and that he was into, and all not all of which do I gravitate toward. But he was a seeker at heart, and I love that. And so, yeah, there's stuff there that you can use and for your own benefit, and also in the teaching of it. And I like that I'm not afraid of that, and I like surrounding myself with people who are not afraid of that. Who say, "Hey, what's new?" And that's the thing. It's like if a Martian, like in the old days, they styled, Martians step off a spaceship in my front yard or something. What I'm going to want to know is their cosmology. What's your story of how it all is? What's your operating system mentally, cognitively, and all that? That will be fascinating. Other people look and see, how do you run that spaceship? How do you get that thing here? How do you replenish the fuel cells, but I'll be interested in how does your mind
Yeah.
work? And you know,
Who are you? What are you about?
who are
Yeah.
you? Yeah, do you like who you are?
Right.
You know? Right?
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome, Jesse.
yeah.
Oh, I loved how you just to kind of bring it back and wrap up the this beautiful conversation on leadership, service, and we talked about this, like, and I'm with you. Like, we're here to be of service. There aren't 8 billion of us on the planet for us to ignore each other. Unfortunately, I don't get to be the monk on the mountaintop. That the world really calls us to interact and engage, and in some level, we all are leaders and we all are followers to a degree. But the service aspect, whether you're a leader or follower, whatever you're doing, the service aspect, you put in there to evoke kindness, empathy, uh, uh, loving energy, doing, imperfect action.
And to do it right outside your door. I mean, there's a guy in my neighborhood. I have to be a little careful how I put this. There's a guy in my neighborhood who is cognitively challenged, an old man, elderly man, and he walks his dog a lot up and down the block. He walks his dog more than the dog probably needs walking by a long shot, because it's just what he does. And he gets out in the weather, hot, rainy, cold, wet, whatever. He's out there with the dog, and he strikes up a conversation, and he picks up kind of where he left off, but he covers the same ground time and time again. He's out there a lot. He's out there when I leave the house. He's out there when I come home. It seems like, and sometimes it's annoying because he wants to stop and he wants to talk, and I haven't built time for him into my schedule because I just haven't. You got other stuff you got to do. Well, I'm starting to. I'm starting to. I'm starting to plan about 10 minutes here and there. Uh, if he's out there, fine. If he's not, fine too. And it's a tiny thing. But what occurred to me was this is he's part of my congregation too.
Mm-hmm.
He's never going to show up down at Old Creative Life, probably. He's never, but you serve the one you're with, is my point. I hear us sometimes say, I want all wars to end, and I want everyone to have a home and three hot meals, and all of that's great, and I do too. But I can't do all of that. But I can do this.